Welcome, Julia
Thank you.
Campbell. I'm so thrilled to have you on
I'm really excited.
to
Thanks
talk
for
all
having me.
things
Yay.
digital marketing
Yep.
and storytelling.
Mhm.
So, you have been working in this digital marketing space, I feel like, from the beginning, and it's changed so much over the years. Walk us through that. How has digital marketing and social media changed, and where are we now?
So when I started my very first director of development position, it was all really about website and a little bit into email marketing, blogging. Facebook had not yet opened up beyond colleges. It was a little MySpace, maybe some Friendster, like if I'm really dating myself. But with the sheer proliferation of social media channels, and then I think with the change in the way the entire landscape has shifted towards more entertainment content and less connection with friends and family, I think what's been going on is nonprofits are kind of struggling to keep up with the changing nature of all of these different platforms. You know, what is big today is probably not going to be big tomorrow. So it's really changed in that we were so focused on this broadcast mode of digital communication, and now we really need to be way more focused on the two-way, double-sided, two-way street method of digital communication.
Right. Which is fascinating when you can spend so much time on a particular platform and feel like you really got a hang of it. And then, with Twitter, because I remember when we just focused so much on advocacy on Twitter, and then that just changed
Exactly.
so much. So you really have to be
Yeah.
nimble and just kind of go with the flow. It's the wild, wild west.
I think that what we need to realize is that these platforms do not have our best interests at heart. They're owned by billionaires, often narcissistic billionaires, and they answer to their shareholders first and foremost. So they answer to who's ever going to, make them the most money, the shareholders. Like, what are the things and the features and the algorithm that are going to keep people on the platform the longest and make us the most money out of ads? And when nonprofits go on a social media platform, I think we forget this. We think, oh, there might be the donate button. Oh, it might be a great way to spread the word quickly. Oh, we might be able to reach some of our fans and followers and our donors. But we do have to understand that at any moment, anything can change.
I know, and it changes, but the moving into real life is something that we need to be really thoughtful about.
Right, absolutely.
As nonprofits.
Exactly.
Or building relationships.
Building those relationships.
We really don't.
And I just recommend trying to get people off social onto your email list, whether that's a few posts a month that really talk about why people should be on your email list. What stories are you talking about? What impact are you sharing? What helpful information are you sharing? Because it's not enough to say, be on our email list. Sign up for our email newsletter. That's not enough. No one wants that. But if I say, join us in the movement against deforestation, or join our email list and learn 2 ways to fight childhood hunger, join us for fantastic impact stories around, people transitioning out of homelessness, that can get people inspired. So I really see social media as top of funnel and very transactional, and email marketing can be that opportunity to develop deeper relationships.
Right, to cultivate that relationship. Mm-hmm. And even email is changing. There's a lot of new rules and regulations that to prevent spam and you're ending up in spam boxes. Yeah, so we just need to maybe be holistic. And
I agree. And I think the other important thing to remember, we want to communicate with people that want to be communicated with. We're not buying email lists. We're not forcing people to communicate. We're not coercing them, manipulating them. If people unsubscribe, if people decide not to sign up, that's not our fault. We should not take that personally, and we should do everything we can to be communicating with the people that want to hear from us, that signed up, that are on our list, in our movement. The other thing is, let's stop being so scared to send email and to post. We think we're going to be frustrating and annoying people. The reality is, organic reach is 0.2% on Facebook. And our open rates, it's not 100. No one has an open rate of 100%. I think the highest client open rate I saw was 45%, which is astronomical and amazing. But still, that's 55% not opening. So we do have to communicate more. I think we have to communicate more frequently, and we have to communicate where our donors are and not hope that we'll attract them to our method of communication. We have to really be more proactive and go after them where they are.
Right. Okay, so that's a really great lead to one of my questions, which is when it comes to storytelling, we have a really great story to tell. How is that story going to come across differently depending on different platforms? Let's talk about email versus social media versus website. How can we adapt our story in the most appropriate, trending ways?
That's a perfect question. So Andy Goodman has my favorite quote from the Goodman Center on storytelling. He says, the story is the gold. So you collect the story, you collect the gold. Then you mold it depending on where you're trying to tell it. So of course your 50th anniversary gala would be a little bit of a different story, maybe a longer video. Then an Instagram reel would be a little bit shorter and maybe more edited. Your email newsletter could be long and short, you have to test it.
Right.
A blog could be longer, a little bit longer. I think the key is testing, but really understanding the platform. But if there is a key story that you want to tell that you have, you can repurpose it and chop it up. Put it on LinkedIn in a certain way, put it on X in a certain way if you're still on X, but be mindful of the strengths and weaknesses of the platform. For instance, you're not gonna put a 10-minute video on TikTok, which I know you can, you're probably not. It's just the data shows that's not gonna work. You could put a 2-hour-long video on YouTube. The data is just showing that's not really what's going to work unless you have a captive audience. So be especially mindful of the best practices, the strengths, the weaknesses, what's working, what's not.
Are you seeing opportunities in digital marketing right now that we should be paying attention to?
I am absolutely seeing opportunities.
Yes.
One study that I share that's it's kind of depressing. It just shows that fewer Americans trust nonprofits than trust the government or trust businesses. So I see an opportunity for nonprofits to be building trust.
Right.
Not only in the work that we do, but in our sector and nonprofit work in general. So not just your mission, but what does it mean to work at a nonprofit? Why is it important? What gaps are we filling between the private and public sector? I think that's a huge opportunity. But I also see the opportunity is that people are connecting with friends and family less, and they're using social media more as a search platform to find interesting things. So if we can capitalize on the trend towards entertaining content, like entertaining does not have to mean funny or a dance.
Dancing.
No, entertaining, like Candid found that their best performing content was just a question that someone sent in. How to submit to be a 501c3. That was the question they got. And they did a video around it. And it was that's not what we would consider entertaining per se, but it's informative and how-to content. People love how-to content. And people love to share information that they think is important about causes they care about. They really do. We use social media to establish who we are, our values, our ethics. We share things related. I do share a lot around politics and advocacy. I'm just comfortable doing that. But some people, they share a lot about, adopting a cat because they love cats, or they share a lot about birds, or they share a lot about the ocean because they're into conservation. So we need to stop thinking of it as this promotional mechanism and start really building this content that is shareable and that people want to watch. So thinking about entertaining content, thinking about informative how-to content. What is it that we do better than anybody else? What do people look to us to provide? I don't have the data or the bandwidth to know about food insecurity in the United States. I look to Feeding America. I follow them because they do. So what are we the experts in? And that's what we should be showcasing.
I love that. You have a storytelling workbook?
Yes, I do.
How can we access it?
Yes, so it's a digital storytelling workbook. You just text the word workbook, all one word, to 33777. 33777. Yep. And you'll get a little prompt and you put your email in and it'll get sent to you.
How cool. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's one of my favorite tech tools.
Yes. And the Nonprofit Nation is your podcast.
Yes.
And you have interviewed so many amazing folks in
We're
the
almost
nonprofit
at 200
sector.
episodes.
Amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I guess where everyone binges their podcasts, they can find you.
Yep. So it's pod.link/nonprofit nation. That will take you to all the little icons. So whatever you use other than Google Podcasts, RIP, which is what I used to use. Very sad, but I'm still looking for a new podcast platform, but I guess, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. So the purpose of the podcast, I study journalism, as I know you did too, and I'm always very interested in talking to people, and I don't like interview shows that are rambling. I was finding a lot of the podcasts, not even nonprofit podcasts, but just kind of rambling and you're not really learning any little nuggets. And I like to have a conversation, but I like it to be focused around a topic. So I wanted there to be a topic, like a question we're answering every episode. So like with you, it's, what is trauma-informed storytelling? How can we adapt it into our organization? So it's very clear they're going to come away with some piece of knowledge or inspiration or someone else to follow that they didn't know about. And I think it's so hard for nonprofits. I feel like we follow the same 5 thought leaders in the space. And there's so many people doing amazing work that don't get highlighted and their voices don't get out there. So that was really important to me too, to not just showcase my friends and people, everybody knows, but to really elevate some newer voices.
Appreciate that.
So yeah, I love to do it.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Maria.
Yes.